Alright, so Persona 3 Reload came out last week, and I've been playing it, only a few hours in, enjoying the hell out of it. As you can see, it looks amazing. But screw me, who cares? Let's talk about you, the users, what you thought of this game. So let's get into it right away. Let's start off with this pretty middling review here. This game has aged pretty badly. In 2006, I'm sure it felt quite good because of the mix of social and JRPG gameplay it brought, but it falls short by today's standards. The pacing is horrible, it fails to give adequate motivations to the main characters, which breaks the immersion a lot and makes it hard to understand the characters, humanize them, and develop an emotional attachment. That's really harsh. I don't know. I mean, maybe he's just talking about all the characters in the game. He was unable to attach himself to any of them, so that's a shame. I would say there's a lot of humanizing moments that bring them together, like the fear of death. Wonder what they would make of that. But anyways, there are some little details now and then, but spread too separate or too little. The power system is simply edgy. And I would say it's not just edgy. I would say it definitely is edgy. I'll give you that, but I would say it's also purposeful in the sense that the weapon they have in their hand is called an evoker, and it's meant to evoke a shock, an emotion. And I think they even go into explaining the details of why it looks like a gun. In the answer, but even without the explanation, you can understand it's like, oh, it's supposed to shock them into pulling out that persona. So it always made sense to me, obviously not right from the beginning, but as you play the game, it's called an evoker. Like, you can kind of put two and two together. You shoot a fake gun at yourself, and that's it. You have no explanation on it. I didn't think it needed one, and you even do it with no damn knowledge about it. Yeah, that's always been a little odd how the main character knew the very first time when he's on the rooftop to use the gun to shoot himself. Now, you can see Yukari aim the gun at herself, but still, that must be just completely strange to the main character. And the only explanation I could possibly give is that the boy who's constantly with him kind of gave him some sort of telekinetic message to do it or something. But yes, that I'll agree with has always been a little bit odd that he just knows how to do it. And even in the remake, they just go ahead and do the exact same scene the exact same way. But moving on from there, the social links are, in my opinion, too bland to be compelling enough. Which ones? I like some, but even those feel lacking for me. I don't feel like it is worth spending time getting to know them, nor unravel the story because the game has failed in several ways to make me feel invested on what it wants to tell. I can't do anything with that. I mean, sure, I suppose. That aside, I have to say the art style and music are, for me, a masterpiece. It is so pleasing to see the menus, details on the mannerisms of the characters, and the animations in combat. The combat itself is fine, and Tartarus might not be as immersive as Palace is, but it does its job decently. I really wish I liked this game, but after 25 hours of playing it, I can't help but drop it because I was forcing myself to keep waiting to like it, and it was starting to feel really tedious. I think people that liked Persona 3 before will surely like the remake, but I would not recommend it to anyone that didn't play this before. And by no means I think that this game is, by today's narrative standards, nothing close to a masterpiece. Some games are atemporal jewels. This one, sadly, is not. So 6 out of 10. Oof. But let's get to some more positive reviews, shall we? The single best game ever released, made even better by modern systems, better graphics, more content, and more story. This is peak Persona and peak gaming in general. 10 out of 10. A censored remake of a classic game? What's the point? Just play the original. 0 out of 10. So don't even go to this future game. I guess, what I do appreciate about this new Persona remake is that it really does feel like they just took the original game and just made a best attempt to improve what was there instead of just making their own thing and, splitting the game into multiple parts and releasing them separately and then calling this a Persona 3 remake, but it's only like the first 10 hours of the original game. I don't know what kind of remake would do that, but that'd be pretty awful, I gotta say. As someone who never played the original Persona 3, which is interesting because I'm very interested in this opinion in terms of people who just coming into this fresh. I absolutely adore this remake for several reasons, all of which contribute to an immersive and captivating experience you would expect from a Persona game. First and foremost, the soundtrack is simply phenomenal. It really sets the perfect tone for every moment, whether it's the intense boss battles or Tartarus exploration, enhancing the overall atmosphere and drawing deeper into the game's world. All of the other elements that make a great Persona game are there as well, from the life sim aspect of the game through social link. Well-written side characters and optional quests that actually have interesting story in it, which make the experience fun. My only nitpick is that the game does feel kind of short compared to the other Persona game, but that could be due to the fact it's a remake and they are trying to stay true to the story. I'm wondering how quick did this guy beat the game? Because the original, just Persona 3, is 80 hours. So unless they did something with this remake to make it shorter, that's crazy that you would think Persona 3 is short. But let's mix it up with some some negative reviews here. One of my favorite games of all time just turned into another, let's say, cash grab by Atlus. I've ordered the physical version, and after a thorough examination, some parts of its whole were missing. Dissecting the subject further, I found there was no female protagonist, and the answer wasn't there. Pretty sure that the latter will be released, as felt like a great opportunity to be provided by a complete experience with the remake. Alas, now you have to play 2 or 3 games, counting this one if you care for modern graphics, plus a speculated DLC to get the full experience, resulting in an emptier wallet and richer for hungry of money Atlus. Oh, brutal. And I will say, you know what, I do see a lot of people not very pleased with the fact that Femsi isn't in here. She's completely stripped, or not even included rather, and same with the answer. And this is one where, in my last Persona 3 video, where I'm very tepid about. I'm like I get it with Infinite Wealth, they took out New Game Plus and then just put it back in, and we know that is most likely the case because we can go back to all the other Yakuza games where it was always there, they never charged extra. But whereas, let's take the answer, starting off with the answer. The answer was included after a second release of Persona 3. So there's Persona 3 and then Persona 3 Fez, which includes the answer. And the answer is not a small bit of content. It is at least 30 hours from what I've looked up on how long to beat. And not a so insignificant amount of content. And I understand, it is a remake, and they would have expected or been expected by fans and players alike that the answer would have been included. So there's a little bit of iffiness to it that I'm not. I'm kind of weighing it. I mean, if it ever got discovered that Sega could have released it to no cost of their own, that they were just penny pinching, I'm like, well, then yeah, of course, I'm totally on that side. I think it's a bullshit practice, but at the same time, I think a 30-hour plus piece of content is good enough plausible deniability for why not to include it. But I might be wrong. Please let me know in the comments. I actually am genuinely curious of the arguments that it should have been included, to see if like it, if there's something I'm off about. But female protagonists, and to be fair with the whole female protagonist thing, it's not like in other, especially Western games, where, it's just a flip of the switch, you're just one character and then you're another, just how the model looks and that's it. And like even Fire Emblem and what else does it? Pokemon, where you choose a female character and not much changes around it. In the Persona 3 Portable game, the female protagonist has her own relations with certain characters. She has her own social links. She has her own music, own UI. So a little bit maybe less than the answer, although we're talking about 80-hour main game with this one character and changes made just for her. So again, they both exist in this weird gray line. I'm not really sure how to feel about them, not including either of the female protagonists. But I totally called it that they were not going to include her, only because why, out of the three versions, Persona 3, Persona 3 FES, and Persona 3 Portable, why did they only ever port the Persona 3 Portable to PC and Xbox and the like? And it had to be because they never intended to include her in Reload. But yeah, 6 out of 10 on that one. But moving on. Let's see. Very harsh, very negative one. Love the Persona series. I will say that though I am very disappointed at the removal of multiple features. Atlus has this habit of reselling the game and removing important features, in this case certain social links. I didn't know about that, although maybe it might be only social links for the FEMC and also the answer. We may or may not get these things as DLC, but overall it's a business model I can no longer support. It leaves a very bad taste in my mouth. Newer fans may enjoy this one if they have yet to experience it. The same might not be true for veterans who have played the original or even P3P. So you know what? That's the best you can do in this. As a consumer, as a user, that's the best thing you can do, is either not buy it, or pay for it on a discount, months down the line. Just don't support Sega, I suppose, is the best way to get around this, unfortunately. And obviously leave up reviews. But yep, lots of people not very happy. Plethora of content removed to be sold as DLC at a later date. Multiple social links removed because they couldn't be bothered to record additional lines of dialogue. Mediocre voice acting relative to the first game. I kind of agree on that. I'm not liking Yukari's voice at all. I mean, to be fair, they're all doing their best impression of the original dub, but Yukari's just felt a little bit off to me. She didn't feel as catty, I suppose, as the original Yukari voice actor. Finally, an unimaginable amount of censorship because of Western audiences. Don't waste your time, just buy the previous versions. You can always go back and play the previous versions, so buying the new one, and if you don't particularly love the DLC practices, 0 out of 10. Although I will say it would be really hilarious if they just don't release anything related to Persona 3 Reload. It's just standalone content, and then that's it. I don't know, like, would that be more frustrating? Because people are definitely frustrated with the fact it's not included, and they think it's gonna come out with DLC. But if it's just on its own, then that'll definitely mean there will never, ever be a definitive version of Persona 3 in anybody's eyes. Like, maybe to the company, they'll always consider, no, Persona 3 Reload is the definitive edition, but a lot of the fan base will be divided on that, which I find hilarious. No, it's FES. No, it's P3P. Oh, but let's look at another middling one. It's not a faithful remake. 3D CGI instead of classic 2D animation. The new Orpheus Awakening cutscene looks like a joke. Graphically is more colorful. Graphic is more colorful than PS2 version. I would figure that's a good thing, but yeah, I don't know. Like the Orpheus Awakening looked amazing. It looked great, and Thanatos looked great. That whole opening CGI cutscene just looked. Any of the CG cutscenes look amazing. So I'm like, yeah, I do miss the 2D animation, but I don't know. Like it looks pretty good. They changed the whole soundtrack into the worst. That one is a little bit. That one's tough to say. They definitely. I definitely found the game is a little bit less moody now with the music, because they add a few extra notes or a few, like an instrument here or there on top of a certain tracks, and they feel more, I guess, lively. But even saying that, the theme that plays when you're in sort of that waiting area in Tartarus, it's not like it's, you know, upbeat now. You know, it's still very solemn and stuff, but maybe that add an extra few piano keys here and there that they're playing, but nothing too crazy. I think they tried their best to stick close to it. It isn't anything like the Persona 1 remake of the soundtrack that's almost entirely different. But moving on, they changed the whole soundtrack into worse and don't give player option to change OST between original and remake. Yeah, that would have been nice. Just like in Persona 1 PSP, actually, yeah. They removed fatigue system, which I'm disappointed, but I mean, at the end of the day, I wasn't missing it. They removed possibility to separate allies in dungeon. I totally forgot about that. Definitely not missing that. You can't use different weapons. Game is much easier than PS2 version. From what I've got, I'm playing it on Merciless, so... But even then, I remember playing the hardest difficulty on Persona 4 Golden, and it was pretty rough right from the get-go. And Persona 3, I don't know, maybe it was just the tutorial monsters were really easy. But I haven't delved that much into it, but it might be, you know what, I can totally believe it's way easier than the original version, only because when I was playing Persona 5 Royal and playing that on the hardest difficulty, it was very clear this was a much easier game than even the original Persona 5. So moving on from that, no P3 Fez and P3P features. They will be added in the answer, probably in DLC. Bad localization. Tartarus, the biggest flaw of the game, is nearly unchanged. Yes, this is like, yeah, still one of the worst dungeons in Megami Tensei series. I don't know about the entire series, but in the more recent Persona series, pretty up there. If we're just talking about modern Persona, like starting from Persona 3, 4, and 5, yeah, definitely the worst of those. Game is okay, but remake is very lazy. They only updated graphics. P3R runs on Unreal Engine 4 like SMT5. And to be honest, this is like the best looking Persona game. And I can't believe they're on the same engine. I mean, it looks so much better than SMT5. And added some quality of life. Unfortunately, they don't fix the biggest problem with the original game, Tartarus. The only thing they fixed was more screen time with for Strega members, which is great. Yeah, more villain time. You know, they were crazy underdeveloped. Yeah, which were very underdeveloped in PS2 game. Also, lighting in the game is very weird. Everything is too bright. This is especially noticeable in Dorm. Yeah, I've been noticing people dimming their games, and one person dimming it to where you can barely see anything, going like, it's too bright. But I never had that problem, though. I'm playing it on console, so maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe it's some glitch on the Steam version. This remake was clearly made mostly for new players or Persona 5 fans. I have that feeling too. A lot of the quality of life updates do push Persona 5 fans to like, oh, okay, well, yeah, I might as well check this out now that it plays more like Persona 5. If you are a fan of P3 or other Atlas PS2 games such as Nocturne, Digital Devil Saga, or Raito games, P3 Fez plus mod is still best version of Persona 3. Game have tons of trash DLC, same copy paste DLC, P5, PVR, and what the hell? Silent Hill 2? I'm not quite sure. But yeah, I think I've read a lot of negative ones, but I feel like for the most part, people are pretty positive, similar to the Infinite Wealth reviews that I had read. Yeah, it's pretty close in terms of that, like 8.0. I think Infinite Wealth was like 7.9. So moving on to the Steam reviews, you know, let's have some fun here now. You know, I've been waiting for this. I miss Liam O'Brien or Brian. Ah, man. You guys fine, but, you know. The better Suicide Squad that released today. Yes, this game is, in fact, the best Suicide Squad game released this year. I can confirm it's not Persona 5. Better Suicide Squad game than the actual Suicide Squad game. Yes, Mom, the hot redhead girl said, I am the chosen one, so please let me shoot my head. Hey, hey, hey. Take a game, well, let's see. Take a game from 2006, keep the core mechanics that fans love, even if they are dated by today's standards, and still making the game feel modern as if it's a new release, and it's extremely difficult task. Atlus absolutely hit it out of the park with this one. Persona. I love Persona. I've loved Persona more than God. I've been waiting for this. Persona 3 playable. Okay, yeah, that's my favorite so far. I get to reload my all-time favorite once again, Game for the Soul. we making it out of the dark hour with this one. We're going back to 2006 with this one, which is funny. I think didn't this game actually release in the US in 2008, but like I know that Japanese, I think, release date was 2006. So every time I think about the game, I'm like, oh yeah, back when I played it in 2006. I'm like, no, I never touched this game when it was originally in Japanese. This game is a masterpiece. It is beautiful in all aspects. Sometimes when I play the game, I feel like I am watching an anime series. It really does feel like that. The Hood's favorite remake. I've been waiting for this. I want Elizabeth to kick me in the balls. Mitsuru. That's it. Oh, that's great. Should I read one of more subtitles? I already did a whole bunch of those. Whatever. Let's just have fun here. Persona 4 Golden Remaster when? Oh, almost immediately if Reload sells like anything significant. I imagine they put a lot of hype into this game, and I can't imagine them not doing it. I bet a lot of people will be upset they're not you know, focusing their resources on something more, something different, something new, a spin-off, or just a completely different game like Metaphor. But I mean, if Reload sells, how could they not do a Persona 4 remake? Despite whether or not like hardcore fans want it or not. Like even me, I'm like, no, I really like Persona 4 Golden on PC. I'm good with just that, but I'm not gonna say no to a Persona 4 remake. Let's see. It's beautiful that I'm lost for words. I'm only 30 minutes in, and the game's environment, characters, music, and story are already appealing. You know what? I don't want to be too one-sided, so let's read out this negative review. Don't buy it at full price. Wait for a discount. Yeah, that's pretty much. If you don't appreciate their practices, definitely do that. It is an improved Persona 3, but it still has problems old Persona 3 had. I would very much prefer to play this over the old games, but I don't think $70 is a fair price for this remake, since they gave us a lot of new and improved things, but the things that really made Persona 3 hard to enjoy are still here, namely the XP, the poor quality of social links, not to mention how the icons are a downgrade from any Persona game we ever had. Icons? Okay. While reusing assets from SMT5, I mean, if they're both on Unreal Engine, you know, might as well, you know, you don't want to create everything from the ground up. I mean, why not? But also, there's no option to use the old OST, and I didn't recognize any SMT5 assets, but I mean, I might look it up on YouTube and see that it's almost the exact same game for all I know. Also, there's no options to use the old OST. Yeah, that's a shame, because especially how close they are, the soundtracks. It would have been nice to kind of have an option to flip between the two. No answer or mentioning of FEMC, so it makes it really hard to justify a €70 price. Not to mention that the DLC you actually would want is in the €100 version and not the €80 version. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much people's complaints about it, so pretty much on theme, completely reasonable there. Yeah, I already read that. I can now fight Anime Jesus again, but with more pixels. Suicide Squad, let's go. My dread is now burnt. Burnt. The only correct Suicide Squad game to play to buy this season. Please port SMT5 to PC. Please, Atlas. Yeah, that would be nice if they did that, but we'll see. I heard rumors when they came out for Switch that oh, just wait a year from now, and then nothing ever came of it. Persona 2 remake, when? Never. There's no what do you call it? There's no eternal punishment. There's no innocent sin. They don't exist. Neither does Persona 1. Hell, not even the Persona 1 remake for PSP. That thing is gone forever. You will never see these games again. It has Aegis, so it's a 10 out of 10. I had no idea what I'm buying. Never played a Perona game before, and I'm not a huge anime fan, but I tried something new. I love JRPGs sometimes, and I really love playing it. I'm at the beginning. The story is not very cringy. I'm kind of feeling it. The gameplay is very fun, and the side thing you have to do are kind of nice. I am interested and will glad spend more time on it. Thumbs up there. Yeah, that's it. So, as you can see, for the most part, on the whole, positive. Don't really like the whole idea, like you can see in this one, like $70, crazy, for, and they don't even include everything, so that's pretty much a large complaint. You kind of get the idea now. But I found a few more good ones up here a while ago. Let me just... Oh, that's another thing to mention. People complaining about the Steam Deck performance, so maybe hold off until there's a patch there, and maybe... Oh, I've heard some BS about Denuvo, which I didn't even know that Persona 3 had. Especially it's... yeah, here, got hit with Denuvo when trying to fix the 20 frames per second dorm room on Steam Deck. Guess I'll just have to play it tomorrow, yeah. But yeah, Tartar Sauce, who's the man? Disturbance of the Peace, look into my eyes. And yeah, you know, a lot of fun reviews here and there, but unfortunately, Ace Detective, more like stupid little sucker. My bread burnt. She Persona on my 3 until I reload. Burn my bread. It's Persona 3 with Persona 5 graphics and new quality of life. Reload my credit card, Atlas. The sexiest UI I've ever seen. I've been waiting for this. My mom walking in on me when Yukari was summoning her Persona and asked what the hell I was playing. The game is very inspiring. I think I'm gonna try and activate my Persona tonight. Oh shit. Mom, I'm not trying to kill myself. I'm summoning my Persona. Baby, 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 but in HD. I never felt like the better Suicide Squad. Ah, yes, my 3 favorite groups. Persona 5, the Phantom Thieves of Heart. Persona 4, the Investigation Team. Persona 3, the Suicide Squad. So, while there's a lot of fun ones there, you know, nothing was topping that Infinite Wealth review I read in my last user reviews. So, unfortunately, users, you just weren't crazy enough. You weren't out there enough. And I had covered what some critics were saying about it, but I was ashamed of myself that I didn't cover this one critic by the Sixth Axis. Oh my goodness. Their Persona 3 review, because this is some unhinged, crazy nonsense that I was looking for. But let's just read this paragraph before I get to the meat of the best part about this review. So Persona 3 is undeniably the darkest version of this fantasy life, where Persona 5 was a jazzy exploration of freedom centered around the protagonist's feeling of being trapped, and Persona 4 is a full-throttled pursuit of the truth, dealing with everything from self-denial to exposing corrupt cops. Persona 3 is about death. Now, I don't remember Persona 4 being about corrupt cops at all. I feel like that was completely put in by the author, because there's not a whole bunch of corrupt. There isn't like some sort of corrupt network of cops in Persona 4, which I thought was weird. But yeah, moving on from that. This, beautiful. Thank you. And I had thought that before I even read it, I had to look through this journalist's other reviews just to see if he wasn't like trolling the whole time. But I saw some of his other reviews, like Persona 5 Tactica and like a few other more recent reviews that he had done, and they all seem like normal complaints here and there, but this is like wild. Okay, a complete let's look at the good though. Let's give him some credit. A complete revamped Persona 3 experience. Yeah, correct. Yeah, that's totally, objectively true. A phenomenal story with all new audio and visual elements. Yeah, okay. Mostly agreeable. Combat is smooth and rewarding with new mechanics added throughout the school year. The bad, right off the top, it's not Persona 5. But it's still as good past that. Some very adult themes here, including suicide, make it not suitable for some. Oof. Which, I don't know, Persona 5... Didn't Persona 5 start off with this attempted suicide? I'll just say that for someone who's saying it's negative because it has themes of suicide in it. Also, it's mature, but it's a mature rated game on top of that. But then also saying it's not like Persona 5, which also had suicide themes in it. Oh my goodness. Okay, the lack of a female protagonist option is a step back from earlier releases. And the answer, don't forget the answer, man. But yeah, I'll just leave it at that. I gotta say, the critics win the day for craziest take. I was not thinking. I thought everyone was like. I thought all these like writers were just too self-aware after that SMT5 without the heart meme kind of spread like wildfire. You would think like, well, no one's ever gonna even reference Persona 5 anymore, or at least not in that sense. But hey, here we are. That's all I have to say. So yeah, that's it. I don't know what to add there. Like, comment, and subscribe, my fellow not Persona 5 fans.